Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of your Fredcast. My name's Gary, and here I am one more time to talk today about a very, very cool book. Actually, one of my favorite books, one of the favorite books I've ever read in my whole life. It's a 20th century classic. It's a must read, even if you're not into reading books much, which unfortunately is most common in Brazil. Unfortunately, I insist. You should totally go and read it. Okay, actually, you should start reading more books. But if you just don't like it, at least you could perhaps start by this one. Okay, or at least only read this one. I'm not here to tell you what you should or shouldn't do with your life, right? But certainly this is a must read. This is a book that is so important despite of the fact it's about 100 years old or almost that. It is really, really indispensable in the days we're living. It's been indispensable ever since it's been written. It was written, but today I would say that more than ever. Okay, mostly today, and it's probably uh, continue to be very, very indispensable in the upcoming years. And of course, let's just break the name here. Let me just tell you guys which book I am talking about. If you didn't, in case you haven't read the title, I'm talking about Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. In Brazil, goes by the name of Como Fazer Amigos e Influenciar Pessoas. Okay. Well, first of all, this is a podcast for English learners. For you, as I always say, for you to sit down, for you to pay attention, for you to listen and be exposed to English words, to conversation conversation in English, so you can get better at understanding people when they're speaking English in a considerable, fast way. Okay. So, having said that, I would totally advise you to read this book in English, which, by the way, is the original language. Okay, it was originally written in English. No surprise, I guess. But that's it. Okay, you should totally go for it in English. And let me just give you a hack, as the youngsters would say these days. It is way easier finding PDFs. Okay, books and PDFs in English than Portuguese. Okay, I would say that I've had a 95 out of 100 rate of success downloading PDFs in English. Okay, very good ones, good quality, as good quality as a PDF can have. Over like 10 out of 100 success rate finding and downloading PDFs of books in Portuguese. Yeah, it is really hard in Brazil to do that. I don't want to get into the reasons. Some of them are understandable, but mostly not, right? Of course, if you can go and buy the book, even in Portuguese, do it. I have my copy in Portuguese, but I don't have a copy in English. Okay, but the moment I have this opportunity, I will totally do that. Okay, so I encourage you to go find and download the PDF in English. But once you have the opportunity, go and buy the book. All right, it is totally worth it, especially if you have read the book before or have gotten to a certain point, say half the book or a third, and then you're really into it. You're really enjoying the reading. So yeah, why not go and buy it? Okay, I'm not incentivizing people to only downloading. Unless you're really, really poor, you don't have money to buy, then totally go for it. Sorry, authorities, but it's way better doing this than not reading at all, in my opinion. So, ahead of myself here, go grab your cup of coffee. It's a lovely and sunny Friday, just as the past ones have been. And go grab a cup of coffee, soda, beer, water, whatever it takes for you to relax and come with me in this very interesting conversation. So let's see what this book has got so much interest of mine. You curious? So come and join me. Well, I googled this information, but the book was written, and I came to understand that the book is not 100 years old, but it's almost there. It was written in 1936. It was finished 1936 and published in 1937. My goodness, it's a very, very old, but gold, as they say. It's really, really impressive, isn't it? And this book has been pretty successful since the very beginning. It was written in the United States, so it comes from there. Certainly, it only got in Brazil a few decades later. Yeah, we know how these things used to work before. But anyways, it's been successful since day one, and no surprise, okay? Because the book delivers exactly what the title suggests. It helps you improve your communication skills, your interconnection, meaning the connection you have with other people, how to relate to people, how to convince people, your friends, your colleagues, family. That's all the book does. And as I said, it is exactly what it promises. Okay, it delivers exactly what it promises in its title. So yeah, okay. One big disclaimer I would like to make is that this knowledge or these pieces of information that I will break down in this episode about this book can be used for good and also for evil, okay, with bad purposes, of being manipulative with people, to lead people to bad things or to their own ruin, for lack of a better word. So yeah, of course, I totally discourage people to use it to manipulate other people, but rather to influence them, okay? And as contrasting as it sounds, there is a gigantic difference between manipulating people and influencing them, in my opinion, the thought you must have in mind, the understanding you must keep in mind is that, well, if I influence someone is for something good, okay? And I know the concept of good or bad tends to be relative, unfortunately, but let's use common sense here, guys. The old example of, what if someone doing something bad believes he's doing something good? Okay, no, I don't really buy it. I think no one, except for people with mental conditions. These are the exceptions, but regular people, people are never unaware of the bad things they do. They know that. A criminal knows what he or she's doing is wrong. Period. Okay? If you believe that they truly believe, genuinely believe that they're doing the good thing, that Hitler thought he was doing the good thing, I'm sorry. I totally disagree. I think you should, think twice. Think again, as they say. Like, reconsider this idea. Because yeah, okay, so let's use the common sense here of like, if I'm influencing people, it's for something that I truly and genuinely know that is a good thing, okay? Say, for example, there's a brother of yours who's totally depressed, okay? And the boy's got talent. He's very talented. You see that. You know him. You could just start talking to him and putting some interesting thoughts in his mind, but not in a way that you're stretching your hand and dragging him out of the hole, no, make it in a way that he feels he's doing his part, and he actually is he would be doing his part in this example of mine. So this is a clear example of influencing, as opposed to manipulating people. All right, have I made myself clear so far? Okay, so let's just get started. All right, so from now on, I'm gonna start reading the main points, okay, that are approached in the book, okay, in a brief, short summary of they are about, okay. You should totally read the book if you wanna go deeper in this topic, and as I said in the beginning, I think you should, in preferably in English as an English student, you will totally get benefited from it, okay. You can even listen to it in the audio book version. Okay, I believe you can find that on YouTube as well. So yeah, there's no excuse not to practice English and learn positive and good information at the same time about human relations. So let's just start by saying that in part one, the author approaches what he calls fundamental techniques in handling people. All right, handling is like dealing with people, living with people, exchanging ideas, information, and goods with people. That's basically what handle means. Okay, so point number one here in this first part: don't criticize, condemn, or complain. People respond better to positive reinforcement and understanding than to criticism. Okay, if you really need someone to reconsider their behavior, their thoughts, but especially their behaviors and attitudes, it would be perhaps a way better approach for you to try, not judge that person. So instead of saying, hey, you should totally stop doing that, that's absurd, that's ridiculous, you're playing the fool here, okay? So come on, go down to earth and start acting your age, for example. Instead of doing that, perhaps you could just say, hey, why do you do that? I'm curious. Why do you have this type of attitude? So explain to me. I really wanna understand that. And parenthesis observation here, you really have to be honest while doing that. Don't try to do that in a way that is not honest, because the other person will most likely know that, and they might slash it back at you, basically. So be careful, be genuine, okay, to do that. Everything I'm talking here is for a situation where you genuinely need and want to help someone somehow. All right. So instead of just criticizing the person, you could say, hey, why do you do that? Let us understand that together. Let me learn something from you, perhaps, or know something new from you. Perhaps something happened to you. You're feeling injusticized, for lack of a better word. So let's see if we can, get to a middle ground here, and let's try solve this together. We're together. Say, for example, you're talking to a colleague at work, your guy, and he's kind of shouting at you, or trying to fight. You could just, instead of criticizing him or even ratting him out and going and telling your boss, why don't you just hey, let us not forget we're on the same boat. Okay, let's try to help each other instead of fighting each other. Basically that. I don't know if I made it clear, but that's more or less that. Again, you should read the book for more, and that's it. Point number 2 in this first part: give honest and sincere appreciation. Genuine appreciation makes people feel valued and respected. It's more or less what I said before. You have to be genuine. You have to really. It's not worth the effort if you try to influence someone you don't really appreciate. You don't have at least a little bit of appreciation. Okay, if that's someone in your family, it's way easier for you to, perhaps you don't even have to think about it. It's your brother, your sister, your cousin, parents, whatever. It's way easier for you to have a connection, rapport, as they say. But for other people, anyways, try to be honest and only act when you're really honestly interested in the other person. If you're not, the best you can do is ignore that person, or try to get someone who's friends with that person and perhaps a little more reasonable to talk to him or her and solve things. Point number 3, arouse in the other person an eager want. Encourage others to see the benefits for themselves, and they will be more motivated to act. That is so true and so powerful when it comes to having people around me doing what I want slash need them to. Okay, when you get them to, when you have them engaged in whatever it is, whatever the cause it is that you are up to. Okay, it's way better than try to humiliate the person, try to embarrass the person, into doing, shaming the person into doing what you want slash need them to. In the second part, he starts talking about 6 ways to make people like you. So let's delve into it. Way number 1: become genuinely interested in other people. Show a real interest in others and their lives. Well, that may be a hard one at the beginning, but try to develop the habit of feeling genuinely interested for other people. I know it sounds even dumb for some people, but it's the best way for you to influence people. When you're being genuine, at least at least a little bit. I think anyone can tell when someone is approaching them with anything but a real and legitimate interest, for their best interest. It's very clear. When a politician in a campaign approaches you in the street, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Most of them don't even look at you other than the campaign days. And during the campaign, they're your best friend suddenly. So yeah, that's more or less what I'm talking about here. I think this illustrates better. 2, smile. A simple smile can go a long way in making a good impression and creating a positive atmosphere. Yeah, that's true. People are afraid to smile these days for multiple reasons. I think that first of all, it's a parallel here, but must be said. You should take care of your smile. By that, what I mean is you should take care of your teeth. Do you brush your teeth every day, at least twice a day? Do you floss it? It sounds totally out of context, but it's so important. It's certainly very, very hard to talk to someone. The closer, the worse in this case, for a person with a stinky breath. And a person who does not brush slash floss their teeth daily, frequently, and properly, it's kind of unbearable. It's really hard. The smelly breath chases everyone away. No matter how beautiful of a smile you have, no matter how beautiful of an approach you have, no matter how good of a person you are, a genuine whatever, if this point, there is a big risk of you chasing people away. Not to mention your boyfriends and girlfriends around. Of course, especially them, right? Anyways, but just about the smiling, it is okay. If you're not comfortable because your teeth aren't good, perhaps you should start taking better care of them, going to see a dentist, But smile. Don't forget to do that. That's pretty important. It sounds vain. Sounds even foolish to say that out loud, but it's the mere truth, the pure truth. 3, remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest sound in any language. Use people's names often in conversation. Yeah, that's true. That's very good, but try not to exaggerate. Try not to say the person's name all the time and more than you should, okay? But it's interesting, when you're dealing with someone, to find an opportunity and dropping quote unquote the person's name in the middle of the conversation will totally get the odds in your favor. Meaning, will totally get the person leaning towards you. Meaning, again, more inclined to do or to listen, to do what you want them to, or to listen to at least. 4, be a good listener. Speaking of listening, encourage others to talk about themselves. People appreciate being heard and understood. Yeah, this is so true. It took me years, in fact, to really understand and put it into action. Because pay attention around. Most people only want to talk. Okay, I think the movie Fight Club says that better. The character Tyler Durden, he says that, like, about the Fight Club. Okay, that everyone is there to listen, to really interact, as opposed to the regular world where everybody is actually faking an attention. They're pretending to be interested in what the other is saying, but actually they're just waiting for their turn to speak. End quote. Yeah, okay, it's a movie, it's a fiction. There are some exaggeration here and there, but in general, most people only want to talk, you know? And if there is something that kind of speaking for me personally, that has not much years ago, but like recently, it's chased me away. It has made me lose the interest of talking to a person if I notice that the person wants to talk all the time. You know, I start saying something, the person doesn't even bother waiting to the end. You know, this is really a turn down to me, a big turn down. And I think the older we get, the more this is true. Okay, but anyways, listen carefully. Try to listen more than you speak. Okay, it would be much better for you, especially if you're an introvert. Okay, but of course, pay attention, right? Because you might have some interesting observations or questions done in the middle of the person's monologue, so to say. Actually, a dialogue, because you're interacting, but in the middle of the person's speech, that will show them that you're listening to them. You know, because like one thing, like when you say the person is like a statue in front of you, you know, just nodding their head. Deep down, it's interesting. It's a good way to do. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but deep down, we have the impression that, like, am I being really heard? Is this person really listening to me? You know, so it's interesting for you to pay real attention and make some quick interventions in the meaning, in the middle of the person's speech, dialogue, to show them that you're really into the words that they're saying to you. Number 5, talk in terms of the other person's interest. Focus on what interests the other person, not just your own interests. Yeah, that's basically a compliment to the number 4, right? Because if you really want to influence people, you should just get them talking. You know, I don't know. That's so true that I would just tell you to do that and tell me later the results you have from it. Because people love talking about themselves, and people love talking about things that they're interested in. Okay, so when you give them this opportunity, they love it. They will love it. No, make no mistakes. They will. 6, make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. Show genuine appreciation and respect for others. That's what I was saying before. The whole basis, the whole ground of this book, in my opinion, is learning, practicing, and developing a sincere feeling of interest and respect for your listener. Okay, for people listening to you. Okay, this is so true, that will open so many doors with that person that you will feel surprised how inclined they will be to be your friends, to listen to you, to buy something from you, to go out with you, whatever, you know, whatever are your intentions, provided that they're good intentions, of course. Guys, this is such an interesting topic, but I will have to split it into 2 parts. Okay, so this is part number 2. Next episode we will talk about parts 3 and 4. Okay, in the meanwhile, go read the book. That will certainly benefit you for the next episode and for life. Why not? Okay, thank you so very much for your lovely company. Don't forget, next episode we're gonna finish this one off, and that's it for today. Bye bye.